Photo by Kathryn Riley, Getty Images. A breakout pitcher is a relative term that fluctuates from fan to fan and analyst to analyst. However, when broken down to the simplest possible components, it has two essential truths. One is that this pitcher is firmly considered one thing, whether it be an average MLB pitcher or an unknown prospect. The second is that he utterly defies such expectations and posts numbers that most would see as surprising. Such qualifications eliminate rising stars such as Kyle Freeland, German Marquez, Luis Castillo, and Trevor Williams. All of these pitchers are in the position to improve and become even better pitchers, such as Jacob deGrom did in 2018. However, they have already defied previous expectations and thus their current expectations have rightfully been adjusted. Therefore, a rise in their stock is the norm and will not catch anyone off guard. The names on this list are a mixture of newcomers and established MLB pitchers, but they all have one thing in common: the ability to raise their stock against current expectations. Here are the pitchers that will gain more experience this season and in doing so will refine their ability in the art of pitching. Photo by Gregory Seamus, Getty Images. However, his FIP was a mere 3.23 and his BABIP was .356. This would seem to indicate that he was the recipient of some faulty luck in his initial MLB season. FIP, or fielding independent pitching, just examines strikeouts, walks, and home runs to better gauge how a pitcher is performing without the assistance or hindrance of his defense. 3.20 is considered to be an excellent mark for FIP, therefore the underlying numbers would indicate there is more to the story than just his ERA. Then, one may ask how he received such an elevated ERA with other impressive numbers. Easy answer is luck. The batting average on balls in play was an exorbitant .356, which when combined with his FIP would indicate that luck was indeed involved. Such a BABIP is unsustainable, and as that falls so will his ERA, WHIP, and FIP. Over 114 IP at the MLB level, Bieber had a minuscule walk rate of 4.7% and he amassed a total of 5.13 strikeouts per walk. As a pitcher such as Bieber learns at the MLB level, he will develop tactics for strikeouts. It is part of the growing process. He was practically dominant over the last 2 months of 2018, 2 or 3 rough starts aside. Here one can see that he focuses around the four-seam fastball, which can get past bats in the 93 to 94 miles per hour range but has not what some may offer. Therefore, he must incorporate his other pitches too. His slider is the pitch he uses most frequently after the fastball. It has the capability of being utilized as a strikeout pitch, falling down and away from right-handed batters and low and into lefties. Finally, his signature strikeout pitch is his wicked curveball, which has a devastating break that is enough to cause many a batter to give up. The slider has a chase rate, or percentage of times a batter chased this pitch out of the zone, of 52.9%, while his curveball had a 40.6% rate of the same statistic. Those are both bona fide strikeout pitches that may even be built upon in 2019. However, he must find a way to mix in his fastball and do so more effectively, as it does not miss bats nearly as often. His arsenal highlights exactly why his underlying numbers are what they are. The combination of the two make for high hopes and lofty possibilities in 2019. Photo by Dennis Pooroy, Getty Images. The entire rotation is young and would qualify for this list. However, Paddock may be the gem of them all. He is only second to Mackenzie Gore in terms of the Padres' prospect rankings of starting pitchers. Paddock posted impressive numbers in high ball in 2018, forcing the Padres to promote him to Double-A mid-season, where he made 7 starts and finished the season. An impressive showing earned him a spot among the multitude of young starter options the Padres had in spring training. This is all it took for him to earn a rotation spot, a small opportunity to let his supreme talent shine through. His standout pitch is a filthy changeup that not only bottoms out but breaks away from lefties and towards righties. First, his primary pitch he aims to establish is his fastball, which is typically in the range of 94 to 95 miles per hour. He can locate his fastball within the strike zone at an exceedingly high rate, that is to say, that he can establish his fastball by throwing it for strikes. It perfectly sets up his changeup, which then can be used to keep batters off balance. Its drop in velocity is difficult to see from the opposing batter's perspective, as it comes out of the hand similarly to the fastball. It has such a devastating effect because the eye level from release to the glove is so dire, it can go from belt high to below the strike zone. His curveball is not quite as effective, yet is productive enough to provide another contrasting look for opposing batters. A full season with the Padres might see Paddock complete nearly 150 innings, a drastic increase from his 90 innings in 2018. At the same time will be under the tutelage of superior coaches that can assist him in reaching his potential by developing his 3 effective pitches. Here it is obvious that he has a natural talent that may allow him to compile loads of strikeouts. 3 lefties, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, and Gerardo Parra, all were overwhelmed by the significant drop of the changeup and struck out swinging. Therefore, a big season seems to be in store for the future ace in MLB and San Diego. Photo by Jim McIsaac, Getty Images. Steven Matz was once considered to be a supremely talented MLB pitching prospect, who would perform just as well as the likes of Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard. However, his career has stagnated a bit. While he is still a solid veteran pitcher, he has had a number of stints on the IL and shown a lack of consistency. Despite all these flaws, Matz finally had a full season of pitching in 2018 with 30 starts and 154 innings, both career highs. It would be reasonable to suspect that there might be an uptick in performance coming too. His overall stats seem elevated, however, a few productive stretches demonstrate his true potential if his consistency can be maintained. Early returns of his 2019 production have seen Matz post 16 innings, 19 strikeouts, and an opposing average of .203. It is simply too early to examine his advanced statistics, but the point is that he is in one of those productive stretches. Now the question remains, will this stretch continue or slide back to mediocrity? It is troublesome to examine a pitcher just by watching him on the mound, yet sometimes one can discover something that is not in the analytics. Matz has made in-game adjustments in all 3 of his starts. After a rough first few innings in each game, he righted the ship and finished by completing a successful outing in which the Mets went on to win. He established the outside part of the plate against the Nationals and neutralized the Braves' dynamic offense with an effective changeup. Matz can settle back into an ordinary 4th starter or just possibly evolve into a special part of the Mets' rotation to form a trifecta of excellence. Photo by Mitchell Left, Getty Images. Upon his acquisition by the Dodgers, he was promptly traded to the Philadelphia Phillies for Jimmy Rollins. At once he might have been an afterthought, now he looks to be a sizable piece to the puzzle of the Philadelphia Phillies. Eflin started 24 MLB games in 2018 and posted a strikeout rate of 22.5% and a walk rate of 6.8%, along with a FIP of 3.80. These are definitely solid numbers, and he is simply being overlooked, without as much as a mention in terms of a breakout. Nick Pivetta is the hot choice for a breakout selection, and with similar velocity on the fastball and errors in 2018, the question of why this is the case still remains. There is a reason that the Phillies only added pieces to their lineup and bullpen, and it is most certainly not due to a lack of resources. They did not even have to spend stupid money on Bryce Harper, after all. They believe that their current pieces Aaron Nola, Jake Arrieta, Pivetta, and Eflin have what it takes to lead the rotation to the postseason. Perhaps it was the flashier numbers that Pivetta accumulated of swinging strikes, 12% swinging strikes compared to 10.3%, or simply BABIP numbers would indicate that Pivetta was incredibly unlucky. Yet, Eflin not only managed to increase his fastball velocity, but also the swing rate on his slider, leading to a much higher strikeout total. The final stat that stands out for Eflin is a remarkable ability to throw strikes, especially on the first pitch. He threw his fastball in the zone 60.8% of the time, thus establishing a fastball that sets up the rest of his repertoire. Photo by Julio Aguilar, Getty Images. A mixture of a dynamic 12-6 curveball and a blistering 4-seam fastball are enough to make any opponent uneasy in the batter's box. Upon arriving in Tampa Bay, Tyler Glasnow met a full month of extensive success, complete with a reduced walk rate and a high strikeout rate. However, September was a completely different month, as all the extremely low marks skyrocketed with an increased average on balls in play. The strikeout rate went down and slugging against, average against, and ERA all rose dramatically. Perhaps this was due to the fact that he was exceeding 100 innings for the first time in his early career. He had previously never even approached it. The most important takeaway, however, is that his walk rate did not only remain steady below 10% but dropped from 8.7% to 8.2%. This might seem insignificant, but it indicates that his struggles were not due to a lack of control, as always was the case in Pittsburgh, but rather a tired arm. A tired arm could be cured with a good off-season program and a strong spring training. The blazing hot Tampa Bay Rays see Glasnow as essential, pairing him with Blake Snell and Charlie Morton as a rotation that can dominate their way to a postseason berth, of course with the assistance of a stellar bullpen. His plummeting curveball, when properly executed, provides the batters with very little chance of contact. Any read a batter gets can then be neutralized by a 97 mph fastball that Glasnow has been locating up in the zone thus far in 2019. The disparity in speeds and movement on both pitches show exactly why he was once an elite prospect. The acquisition of his services, along with the power of Austin Meadows, make it easy to understand why the Rays were so willing to ship once ace Chris Archer to the Pirates. He was a known commodity, and while very productive, he could not match the untapped potential Tampa Bay saw in the young, fireballing right-hander. Next, the new and improved Madison Bumgarner want your voice heard? Join the call to the Pen team. Write for us. This same potential and early success is exactly why he places in the premium slot on this list.